friends, welcome back to my channel, and for those of you who are new here, hi, I'm Amy and this is Thrift Adventure. I'm a full-time reseller primarily on the Poshmark app, but I do dabble on other online platforms and I sell locally. Today I will be shipping out my sales from over Memorial Day weekend. So these sales are for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and I think I had one sale this morning, Tuesday morning. So I'll start with my Chairish sales. I had two sales on Chairish, and the first sale was, let's see if I can get all these in. It's a set of 3 of these little teeny miniature cloisonne vases with stands. I just picked these up because I thought they were all so cute. I got them different places, and I got some came with the stands, and some of the stands I got at different places. The set ended up selling for $129 plus a $3 packaging fee, which is in addition to the shipping fee. So a total of $132. I paid about $15 for all of them. So after Chairish's fee and my cost of goods, that made my profit $88.62. I am really thrilled with that. I think that is a great sale. I will package these up off camera. And then the next item that sold is this vintage crystal bowl dish, and this is by Itala from Finland. It has this really cool icicle feature. I picked up a whole bunch of this at one estate sale. I think the people had either been collectors or registered for a bunch of it for their wedding gifts. I believe that this is probably from the 60s or 70s. It ended up selling for $46. I paid about $5 for it. So after Chairish's fee and my cost of goods, that made my profit $31.32. Another nice profit. As always, I have the Chairish Seller's Guide linked in the description box below in case you want to learn more about selling on Chairish. Okay, the next, I also have my how to package breakables video linked in the description box below. So the first item that sold on Poshmark is this heavy turquoise and sterling silver ring. This is just a really pretty piece. I got this in a large lot of jewelry that I bought. Most of the items in that lot were purchased in Mexico. Some were better quality than others. This was one of the nicer quality pieces. And I ended up spending an average of, it looks like I need a little more packaging for this, an average of about $4 per piece on that large lot of jewelry. And it was just a lady who was a little bit older, and she picked out the items that she wasn't going to wear anymore. And there was a lot of the ones that she wasn't going to wear anymore. And she went into our local pawn shop where my father-in-law works. I'll finish talking about this after I tell you. This sold for $89, which is what I had it listed at. Like I said, I paid about $4 per piece. So after Posh fees and my cost of goods, that made my profit $67.20. So my father-in-law works at a local pawn shop, and I also know the owner. I've known her for years. So anytime someone comes in there and they have costume jewelry or sterling silver jewelry that the pawn shop is not interested in buying, they will give me a call and ask me if I'm interested, and then pass along the customer's information, and then I'll try and meet up with them and see if I can work out a deal. So it is really a great setup. It doesn't happen all the time, but maybe 4 or 5 times a year I get a call from them, and this lady ended up spending $350, I think it was, for all of her jewelry, and I got a ton of pieces, so it's really great to buy in bulk for a reasonable price. Okay, the next item that sold is an antique 10 karat gold ring setting. It is just the setting. There is no stone in it. And unfortunately, I don't think you're really going to be able to see the detail on this piece, but it's a really pretty piece. It sold for $100. And I picked this up at an estate sale for $5. I have had decent luck selling just ring settings before, if they are antique or vintage. And, you know, usually they take a little bit of time to sell because you're looking for the right buyer who is willing to find a stone, or, you know, if they're a metal worker. But sometimes I can get more selling the setting than just selling it, you know, melting the gold and selling it for that value. This ended up selling right at about what the current melt value was. But, you know, because it's an antique, I would rather keep it intact and someone continue to use it than melt it. Okay, so it sold for $100. I paid about $5. So after Posh fees and my cost of goods, that made my profit $75. I think that is wonderful. Oh, for those of you guys who watched last week's video, we went camping over the weekend, and it turned out to be a really odd weekend, but we did have fun. We did hit up some thrift stores, and I got quite a bit of great stuff when I was thrifting. So after I get done sharing all my sales, I will tell you some stories about this weekend, because there were some weird things that happened. Okay, so the next item that sold is this pair of gemstone earrings. These have turquoise, and I don't know what all the stones are. These came from the $890 estate sale haul. Let's see, does this have, this has had a little mark on it there. These I just got listed fairly recently, and they sold rather quickly. I did accept a lower offer for them. So these sold for $34. It seems a little bit lower, but when I used Google Lens to look these up, I did find that the retail price was $49. These were pre-owned. It is the summer of sales after all. So when this buyer offered me the $34, in reality, that's pretty reasonable. I just thought they were pretty cool earrings, so I was hoping to get a little bit more for them. But I paid $3 a piece for all of that jewelry. So I still made a great profit of $24.20, and they sold relatively quickly. I am in the business to sell things. I have to remind myself of that sometimes, and so I am really trying to accept as many reasonable offers as I can. Okay, so the next item was another item from that $890 estate sale haul, and it is a turquoise stone on a leather cord. This is by Silpada. This also sold for a little bit less than I was hoping for. It sold for $30. But again, I don't know how much more I actually could have gotten for this. And so I just decided to accept that $30 offer. This weekend turned out to be pretty busy for me being on vacation. And so, but you know, I was accepting reasonable offers, and I think that was a pretty reasonable offer. So like I said, I paid about $3 for this. So after Posh fees and my cost of goods, that made my profit $21. I haven't done an updated tally on how much I've made from that sale yet. Maybe I'll do one next week. Trying not to do them every week, but I have just been so thrilled with how much I made from that sale. And like one of you mentioned, I was pretty nervous when I spent almost $900 at one estate sale, but really, who wouldn't be nervous about putting that much money out? But the jewelry was just more amazing than I imagined at all that it was. Okay, so for those of you who might be curious, for my jewelry, I typically either use the small flat rate box or I use the padded flat rate envelope. If I am putting the jewelry in one of those harder plastic boxes, then sometimes I will put it in the padded flat rate envelope, depending on what it is and how fragile I think it is. Otherwise, I put it in those small flat rate boxes. Okay, so the next item is this fun vintage stretch belt with this kind of medallion buckle and brass like fish scales. I don't know if that's really the right word for it, but this ended up selling for $30. It had been listed for a fair amount of time. I don't know exactly how long, but I would say at least 6 months. So when this buyer offered me $30, I said, yes, please, I will take it. I had paid about $3 for this. So after Posh fees and my cost of goods, that made my profit $21. For this one, I will be using the, what box number is this? 1096L. And it is just a little bit deeper and taller than the small flat rate box. So I like to use it for my more bulky belts. For the small belts, I use that small flat rate box and it works just perfect. I try to use boxes that I don't have to add additional packaging to, just because I don't want to be, you know, using extra packaging and spending money if I don't have to. Okay, the next item is this brown leather duffel bag, and it has this beautiful tooling on it. It is by American West. I don't know if you can see that. Now, this brand is very expensive. I think this style of bag retails for over $300 now, but this one had a repair to the handle. See, it's been clipped there and glued back together. It also had quite a bit of, I'll move this out of the way so you can see me, quite a bit of distressing on it and kind of wear around the zipper. Anyways, it sold for $110. It had been sitting in my death pile for literally almost 2 years, and I had that and 3 other like larger duffel bag pieces that I hadn't listed because I didn't want to deal with shipping them. But I finally got them listed, and this sold relatively quickly for that $110. I did have it listed higher. I think I had it listed for $189 or $229. I can't remember, but he offered me $105 a couple of weeks ago, and I counter offered $150, and then he came back with $110 yesterday. And I said, it's the summer of sales, Amy. You don't need that sitting around taking up space. Take the $110. I paid $15 for it. So after Posh fees and my cost of goods, that made my profit $73. Now, I may have to, I weighed that, and just the bag weighs 4 pounds. So as long as I can get the box and the packaging to weigh under a pound, then I won't have to pay to upgrade the label. But if I do have to pay to upgrade the label, I think that costs like, I think it's like $6 or $7 to add a pound. So that would come off my profit, of course. But fingers crossed, I can get away with not. Okay, so another item that came from that $890 estate sale, it is a Patricia Nash leather purse. And you can't tell on here, but this has kind of a copper metallic sheen to it. It is a long crossbody bag. It is pre-owned. There were quite a few of the bags from that sale that were still brand new, but this one was actually pre-owned, but still in beautiful condition and a beautiful bag. This sold for $75. I paid $15 per bag at that sale. So after Posh fees and my cost of goods, that made my profit $45. Patricia Nash is, you know, kind of hit or miss for me. It can take a little while to sell for higher prices, and I knew that going in, but I could not pass up this opportunity at $15 a piece. I knew that they would eventually sell, and $45 is really a great profit for that. Okay, the next item is a Hobo brand leather purse, and it has this really great large tassel on it. I really like Hobo brand because the quality is beautiful. The leather, sorry, this had like a hair stuck on it. The leather on it is really soft and buttery and lightweight. Now this is cream, and so it had some distressing and wear to it, some different marks on it, but my Goodwill did not see that it was Hobo brand, or they were not familiar with this brand, so they only priced it at $6. So because the price was reasonable, I decided to still go ahead and pick it up even though it wasn't in perfect condition. I felt like this style kind of lent itself to being a little distressed looking anyways, and so I thought that was okay. It sold for $52. The buyer made me an offer. Let's see, can I get away with one piece of paper on this? I think I can. I'm not sure how much I had this listed at, and actually no, maybe the buyer liked it and I sent them an offer because it looks like this had discounted shipping. Either way, it sold for $52. I paid $6 for it. So after Posh fees and my cost of goods, that made my profit $33.58. I think that's really great for a $6 investment and for a bag that, you know, had some distressing and wear. I said this before many times, but sometimes I still will pick up items that have wear or flaws to them, because some people do not mind a little bit of wear or distressing, or if I pick up an item on accident that has flaws that I didn't notice, I will still list it and it inevitably sells. Some of you have heard this over and over again, but in case you are new here, I always like to share that tip because people will still buy distressed and flawed items, and for decent prices sometimes. This is kind of a fun sale. This is a vintage pearl snap Western shirt. It is by Lee. And the pearl snap refers to the buttons that have this pearlescent look to them. I didn't pick this up for the brand. I picked this up for two reasons: because it was Western style. It is distinctly 1970s, 1960s looking. And so if something has a couple of things going for it style-wise, I will pick it up as long as the price is right. This was at a fill the bag sale, and my average cost of goods from that sale was under $1. So I figured, you know, even if I sold it for $20, that would still be a good profit. But it ended up selling for $37. So that was really great. So after Posh fees and my cost of goods, that made my profit $26.58. Now this did take a while to sell, possibly close to a year even. So it's up to you if you have the space to store items and wait. If you want to, you know, wait a year to sell stuff, or if you don't have very much space and you really need to buy items that will sell quickly, you just have to base your decisions on that. Okay, the next item is a pair of wide leg linen kind of sailor look pants. These are by Max Studio. I picked these up for a couple of reasons. One, because they were linen. Two, because they were wide leg. And three, because it was at a fill the bag sale. Four, I thought they might fit me and I might keep them, but they didn't fit me very well. So unless these, you know, I wouldn't pay up for these and pick them up anywhere except the bins or a fill the bag sale, because Max Studio has a pretty high retail price, but it just does not really retain its value very well. These sold for $17. My average cost of goods for that sale was under $1. So after push fees and my cost of goods, that made my profit $12.60. I have not been to a fill the bag sale recently, but I'm still, you know, trying to consider if I'm going to be picking up, you know, items that I think could sell for under $20. We'll see. You know, when I get to those sales and I get excited, sometimes it is hard for me to control myself and not pick stuff up. Okay, so don't go anywhere. This video will continue with what else I sell this week, but I wanted to talk a little bit about my camp trip this weekend. I will be doing a video just from the thrifting with a little of the camp pictures, and I'm not sure if that'll come out right before this or right after this or a month after this. Who knows? Can procrastinate editing those videos. So anyways, we looked at the forecast. It said it was supposed to be moderate, cloudy. It didn't say anything about wind or rain. We got there at about 2:30 on Friday afternoon. It looked pretty nice. We got the tent all set up, everything all set up. Then a windstorm, a crazy windstorm came in. Then within about 30 minutes, it was pouring. I mean, raining cats and dogs. Not a sprinkle, it was pouring. That went on for about an hour, and then the wind continued the rest of that day. And so we just we have a shade tent too, so we just kind of hung around, played games, ate, you know, just tried to think positive. The next day it was terribly windy again, and so we bring our boat when we go on these trips, and our goal was to, you know, fish the whole day and enjoy being outdoors. But when it is super windy like that, of course it's really hard to fish, and also it's just not fun to be outside even if you're under a shade tent. So we drove in to Lewiston and Clarkston, Lewiston, Idaho, Clarkston, Washington. They're like right next to each other. And we did thrifting for the first half of the day. We had planned to go to lunch at Fazari's Pizza, which is this super yummy pizza place, but they weren't open till 4. So we got taco time. That was not very good. Anyways, that was pretty disappointing. But then on Sunday, the weather cleared up. It was beautiful. We fished most of the day. We caught almost 50 bass, which was pretty exciting. We hit one spot and I caught 6 in a row, 6 casts, 6 fish. So fun. Then Sunday night, we, you know, were happy and we went to bed, and at about 1:30 a.m. there was some sort of altercation at the campground. So we stayed at Chief Timothy Park, and it's an island. So it has, you know, water all around it, of course. And there is sites for RVs, and then there are tent sites, and then there is a group site that we always reserve because typically we have a group with us, but all of our friends bailed. So we just had this big site that is at the end away from everywhere else. Anyways, I don't know exactly how close the altercation was to our campsite, but we heard someone yell, "Get the F off me," and all this commotion. And then we hear someone get in a car, slam the door and race off. Then this person, I'm assuming they were drunk, they proceeded to drive round and round through the campsites, and they'd kind of slow down on the curves, but then they'd speed up on the straightaway. And he drove around. Ours was at the edge when he would go around and slow down. He drove past our campsite 3 times. And then it sounded like he went back to the campsite, and there was some more yelling and get the F out of the tent, and I'm tired of this, I just want to go home. And there was men's and women's voices. Then he gets back in his car and speeds off, and we hear a loud noise, and we think he hit another car or something. We don't really know. Then we hear the police. Sorry, this is just such a wild story. Then we hear the police sirens coming. This campsite is about 15 minutes away from like the nearest police station. So this had been going on for about 20 minutes. Then the sheriff and the police go there. We just stayed back and stayed in our tent. I didn't want to get near, you know, what was going on because alcohol involved, who knows if there's weapons, whatever. And then it all, then we hear the police get there, they're talking to people. Then we start hearing these weird noises coming from the water, the guys making these weird bird noises. That goes on for about 15 minutes. And then it all quiets down. And we go to sleep. I wake up the next morning and talk to some other campers. Apparently the loud noise we heard was that he drove through, he didn't hit any camps or campers or anything like that. I'll tell you this first. He drove through some campsites and drove his car into the river. And somebody got in there, tried to helped him get out, but then the cops were there by that time, so he got back in the river and swam across to the highway. And apparently that's when he was making all the noises, but his car was completely submerged in the river. Apparently they caught him and arrested him nonetheless. But what a wild, I mean, just not the best trip we've ever had, but it really makes for a good story. I could not believe what was going on. Apparently, you know, maybe there was drugs involved, I don't know, but it was bizarre. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed the story. I will have some pictures and a thrift haul in the dedicated video, and I might repeat the story just because it's a good story, but don't go anywhere. This video will continue. I'll be right back. Hey again, it's Thursday and I've got 5 things to ship out. The last couple of days were really slow. I only had 1 sale, and then this morning I had bam, 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 back-to-back sales. So that is pretty exciting. I also have a pending offer on a large bundle, but I'm gonna have to pay to upgrade the label. It's gonna be like £9. So that costs $13.50. I'm trying to decide if I still want to accept the offer because it's kind of a low offer, but all of the items are things I've had for a long time. So just saying that it's the summer of sales, I'm going to accept the offer, but I'll ship it out on Saturday because it's going to take some extra finagling to get it into a box. Okay, so the first item that sold is this men's brown leather belt. It is by Tecovas, if that's how you say it. You guys all told me about this brand when I picked it up at the Goodwill. I had never heard of it before, but it seemed like a nice, very nice quality belt. So I picked it up, and it looks like the retail is higher on these, but I've had it listed for quite a few months and I didn't get any good higher offers. I had it listed for $49. I got an offer for $30. I just decided to take it because it is, you know, a name brand, but it is just a plain brown leather belt from the outside. I paid about $3 for this. So after posh fees and my cost of goods, that made my profit $21. I am totally okay with that, and I have so many belts right now that I am happy to move it out. The next item is this vintage jade colored brooch, and it's set in a gold-filled setting. I believe, I'm not certain if this is genuine jade or not. This has also been listed. This has been listed a really long time, probably over a year. and it sold for $35 with discounted shipping. I think the buyer liked it and got an offer, 10% off offer with discounted shipping, and they accepted. Sorry, there's some little dust on there or something. I paid about $3 for this. So after Posh fees and my cost of goods, that made my profit $22.98. I'm excited to move this out. In fact, I think I have a second one of these that is just like this or very similar. Let's see if I can get this on there nicely. Okay, there we go. I did get a new phone. I'm still filming on my old phone. I'm going to finish this week's videos off on this phone and then start with the new phone next week, just because transferring the video, I just didn't know if it would change the quality at all or anything, but the camera is supposed to be way better on the, I got the 15 Pro and this is the 13 Pro. So hopefully it'll be better for the cost. This phone is still working. Did I say my profit was $22.98 on that brooch? This phone is still working, but it's starting to do some of those quirky little things. You know what I'm talking about, when you can tell your phone is gonna start to go. And they were having a deal for, it was almost half the normal price. So I just decided to go ahead and get one, and I would like to have a backup phone. Hopefully I'll be hiring someone. I know I've been talking about this and I haven't done it, but I would like to have a backup phone that they could take pictures on and then just upload, just use my phone if they're working for me. So I wanted to keep this while it was still working. Okay, the next item is another one of these Kurt Geiger credit card charms that bag charms or keychain that I bought as retail arbitrage. I think this might be the last one, and it has sold for the most so far. It sold for $59. I paid about $16 a piece for these. So after Posh fees and my cost of goods, that made my profit $31.20. I am thrilled with that. So I had multiples of these, but rather than make one listing and show that I had multiples, I listed each one, or I listed them one at a time. And I did that to make it look more rare. So if there's only one for sale on Poshmark, on eBay, everywhere, I feel like the potential for me to get a higher price is more than if I show that I have 5 available. Also, when each one sold, then I listed a new one and I had that new listing. So it was a fresh listing. So I don't know if that makes sense or is the right thing to do or not, but it seemed like a good idea to me. Okay, so the next item that sold is this really cool vintage leather handmade bag. I think this could be Native American made, but I'm not certain. As you can see, it has a lot of wear and distressing and staining. I just picked this up because it was such a unique handmade piece. Initially, I thought it would be worth more than it was, but I used Google Lens or Google image search to look up, a picture of this, and I saw some others, and I can't remember how much they were listed for. I think under $100. And so I listed this, or maybe, yeah, I don't know. I listed this for $89. And I remember I listed it above other comps because that's what I do. This buyer liked it and got 10% off offer for $80 with discounted shipping. And oh wait, did they do that? No, they sent me an offer for $80. and I happily accepted. This has been listed for a few months. I paid $4 for this at a small town thrift store. And that thrift store happens to be close to a town that has a larger Native American population. That was the other reason I thought that it could be Native American made. So after posh fees and my cost of goods, that made my profit $60. I think that is really great. Okay, and then this next sale is another exciting, or pretty exciting sale. It is an oilskin raincoat. So it's just cotton, but it's like a waxed oiled cotton. Let me see if I can get this up so you can see it a little bit better. Can you see that it has a texture? And this is typical, you know, something typical that cowboys or ranchers would wear. I have done really well with this type of coat in the past. This is the first time that I have sold one of the shorter ones. So it's just a kind of a standard, maybe comes down to the thigh. In the past, I have sold the dusters. So they're like, you know, a full long length, maybe coming down to your calves or your ankles, depending on how tall you are. Now for the dusters, I think those sold for $125 to $150, and they were different, better brands too. This one was Outback Trading Company, and the comps for this on eBay were in the like $40 to $60 range. I listed it for $89, and I only listed it a week ago because I got this at the same sale as those dance coats that I sold last week, and I only paid $2 for this. Did I say it sold for $80? So after posh fees and my cost of goods, that made my profit $59.98. I think that is really great. Definitely keep your eyes out for these. I don't know if I've only found 3 or 4 in my time, you know, searching. Maybe I found 5 or 6 and I've passed on some because they were priced too high. But if you're in a small rural area that looks like it would have farmers or cowboys, keep your eyes out for this, because that's probably, you know, the type of place that you're going to find something like this. But I was really excited to sell it so quickly and for a great price. This, interestingly enough, this is going to New York, and the person's address says Mayfair Hotel in New York. So they're definitely not a cowboy, but I'm sure they just want to get that look. And this is a nice quality, you know, very durable raincoat, kind of safari looking. So whatever, if they want to wear it for style or utility, I'm happy to sell it and make some money. Okay, don't go anywhere. This video will continue. I'll come back on Saturday and share what else I sell. I'll be right back. See you then. Hey again, it's Saturday and it's been a really busy couple of days. I'm pretty excited. So one of the first things that sold is this pair of vintage clip-on rhinestone earrings. These are by the brand Eisenberg, which is E-I-S-E-N-B-E-R-G. And that is a collectible brand of costume jewelry. So you definitely want to keep your eyes out for their pieces. I did look up comps for these earrings. Some of their pieces can have really high values, just like a lot of the other vintage costume jewelry brands that I've mentioned. These ended up selling for $70, which I was overall happy with. They have been listed for 6 months to a year. I'm not exactly sure how long, but they were just relisted. So I think I mentioned that in a recent video that I have been having my Posher VA relist 5 to 10 items per day for me. And I had never used that feature before, and I think it's really a great thing, especially for those of us who have a lot of listings that could be getting stale. So I was having them do 5, and then I was out of town last weekend for the holiday weekend, so I upped it to 10. And I really noticed a difference in my sales because I have not been listing as much on my own, and I've just been having them relist those 10 a day, and that really seems to be helping my Poshmark sales. So, you know, if you have less, I didn't start using a sharing service or a bot until I had over 400 listings. I was manually doing it all. I was manually sharing and, you know, sending out offers and doing all the things. But once I got to that point, it just ended up being, it just took way too much of my time to do that myself. So that's when I decided to pay for the service that will share for me, automatically send out offers for me, and now I'm having it automatically relist a certain number of items every day for me. And for me, it's totally worth it. I still don't have a discount code as of the filming of this video. I'm going to try and get one. If I do, I will put it here on the screen and link it in the description box below. But I cannot say enough about Posher VA. It's been really a great thing for my business. Now, it's totally up to you whether you want to do that or not. There are good things and bad things about it, but it's been great for me. Okay, so this sold for $70. I paid $5 for these. So after Posh fees and my cost of goods, that made my profit $51. So those had been, like I said, listed for 6 or 8 months. And when they were relisted, they got new eyes on them. And then that buyer sent me an offer. So the next item is just this cute little, let's see, can you even see that? Little teeny sparrow charm or pendant. This was, I don't know exactly where this came from, but it was in my jewelry box. And when I went through and cleaned some stuff out that I wasn't wearing, I listed stuff and I sent out 20% off offers. Must have been, or maybe even 10% off, I don't know, with discounted shipping, but this sold for $11 with discounted shipping. I put my cost of goods as 0 because it came from my closet. Let's see, I might add some additional packaging to this. So that made my earnings $6.03. Not anything to write home about, but it's a coffee that I pulled out of my jewelry that I wasn't wearing. Oh, I wanted to show you guys. I just got this vintage sterling silver Native American bracelet. Isn't that gorgeous? One of the local auction houses was doing a big auction for another antique store that had a whole bunch of Native American stuff, and there was other things that I wanted, but it went a little high for resale, and I decided that I should only treat myself to one item, and this was the one that I wanted the most. And it ended up being a pretty good price. I think my bid price was $90, and then, you know, of course, auction houses charge a seller fee, but it ended up being about $105, which I thought was pretty reasonable, because if I was going to buy something like this at an antique store or something, I would assume it would be over $200. It's very heavy and very well made. It is, I noticed that I have quite a few bruises on my arm. That must be from camping, but it was a small size. I have a pretty small wrist, so maybe that's why I got a decent deal on it. The next item that sold is this really cool vintage cream leather belt, and it has this kind of asymmetrical look to it. I just thought this was really cool. It is by Jacques Vert. And of course, I looked up comps on this. I think I had it listed for $49, and the buyer offered me $40. so I accepted. I had paid about $3 for this, so after posh fees and my cost of goods, that made my profit $29. I'm happy with that, and I hope this buyer really loves the belt because I think it's super cool and unique. And I did have quite a few belt sales this week, so I am happy about that because it seemed like they had kind of slowed down a little bit. I do have a big bundle sale where I sold multiple belts. So did I say my profit was $29? Yeah, I think I did. Okay, the next item is another belt, and it's just this, I guess this could be unisex, but I think it's originally meant to be men's, and it is by, I believe this is, yeah, it's marked LL Bean. I don't know if you guys can see that. LL Bean has a pretty decent retail price, and some of the items can retain their value. This ended up selling for $31 with discounted shipping. Yesterday I used, or the day before, I used my Posher VA to send out 20% off offers. Did I do discount? Anyways, 20% off offers on every single item in my closet. I do that every one or 2 weeks. I've mentioned it before, but it always seems to generate sales for me. So it sold for $31. I paid about $3. So after posh fees and my cost of goods, that made my profit $21.80. Okay, the next item is another bag from that $890 estate sale haul. It is a Patricia Nash piece, and really it's just not showing up, doing it justice on camera here, but it has this cool tooled medallion, really beautiful high quality leather. This ended up selling for $80. The buyer offered me that $80. I think I had it listed for $129. But these have been, you know, listed for a couple months now, and I'm still motivated to sell stuff for reasonable prices. And Patricia Nash stuff, this was probably one of my favorite pieces, but Patricia Nash stuff doesn't always get super high resale prices, although I think $80 is pretty great for this. Okay, so all of the purses at that estate sale were $15. So after posh fees and my cost of goods, that made my profit $49. I think that's great. I did recently get a few people giving me feedback about noises in the videos, and one of them was paper crinkling and that it was annoying. I don't think there's any way that I'm going to get around that. This is a ship with me video, and I'm wrapping stuff and shipping it, and so there is going to be that noise if I keep using paper, which I think I'm going to. And then I got another comment on the noise from the tape dispenser. Now that I am going to, I'm hoping to find a good microphone that I can wear, so hopefully that would change some of that, but I've ordered a couple from Amazon and they just don't sound good or work right. So I'm going to try and get some of the not transparent tape to see if that will make a difference. But I've already purchased a whole bunch of this, so I apologize if the noise bothers you. And I'll try and make changes as the time goes on. But I'm really not making a ton of money on YouTube, so it is hard for me to invest in new expensive equipment. It just doesn't make sense for my business right now. So hopefully you can handle some of those noises, and I will try and make small changes to make them better. Okay, so my profit was $49 on that, if I didn't say that. The next item is this cute little Madewell tote, and it has a crossbody strap. This has been listed a long time, over a year. I think this is another one of those items that I just, I priced too high, frankly, for the condition. So I don't know if you can see, but on the front, it has this little mark. Otherwise, it's in nice condition. But I was trying to get, you know, a high, perfect condition price, basically. And so I went through and reduced the prices on a few things the other day, and this was one of them. And someone came in and offered me $45 for it after I had reduced the price. I thought that was still a fair price, and so I accepted. I had only paid about $2 for this because I got it at the bins. So our bins is like $1.39 a pound or something, so it's pretty reasonable. But I was excited to move this along. So after Posh fees and my cost of goods, that made my profit $34. Okay, another item that I have had quite a while that I am excited to see go, and it is this flax brand linen kind of, it's not exactly a jacket, it's not exactly a blouse, but it's an open front kind of cardigan. Here is the brand. It was a size large. I've done pretty well with flax in the past, but for some reason this one just sat around. Maybe I also had it priced too high. It ended up selling for $35. Let's see, I paid about $6 for it because, like I said, I have done really well with flax before. I think some dresses, you know, I've gotten $50 or $60 for. And so I, you know, had an expectation of getting a higher amount for this, but $35 is just fine. So after Posh fees and my cost of goods, that made my profit $22. I think that's great, and I'm happy to move this older piece along. And you know, this whole summer of sales attitude, I have really been feeling great about it. Now, I have not been accepting every offer. I have gotten quite a few very lowball offers, less than 50% of my listing price. And I have counter offered those, and some pieces that are just, you know, more unique or special pieces that I wasn't ready to let go, I have counter offered. But otherwise, just accepting offers, reasonable offers, and moving things along has really felt good. So if you have not adopted the summer of sales SOS mentality, I suggest that you give it a try and see how it feels, because I have really liked it. Okay, so the next sale was, I don't know if I'd exactly call it lowball, but it was a pretty low offer for the amount of items. But all of the items, I talked about it yesterday, I did end up accepting it. All of the items I had a very long time, or they had flaws. So I just decided to accept it, and I'm happy that I did. I did have to pay to upgrade the label to 8 pounds because there are so many pieces. So that really cut into my profit. I'm still happy to get rid of some of these items. Okay, so the whole bundle sold for $165. The first item is this equipment cashmere sweater. Now this is gorgeous. It's in pristine condition. This probably cost over $200 new, but I have had this listed for over 2 years and it has not sold. I haven't gotten any, you know, substantially great offers on it. So this is kind of the star of the bundle, you could say, in my opinion. But sometimes you just have to let things go. I had reduced this, relisted it, changed the pictures, changed the description, done all of the things, and it hadn't sold. So it is sold now. Now for this bundle, I am only wrapping that one piece because I was trying to keep the weight as low as possible. So we will see how the buyer reacts to not having everything individually wrapped. Okay, the next item that sold is this BB faux leather quilted jacket with this faux fur trim. This is darling, but it does have some peeling to the shoulder. I did put that in the description, and I was very specific about it. So that's a flawed item that I am, just okay moving along for a reasonable price. Okay, the sweater I paid $5 for. The BB jacket I got in a fill the bag sale, so I paid about $1 for it. This is a pretty great piece. This is a vintage women's, I think this is probably a wool blend overcoat. And this had some flaws. It has some pulled buttons and pulled seams, and but I've also had this listed over 2 years, so I'm excited to see it go. I paid $10 for it at the Goodwill, and I think I had this listed for $69 or $89. They're going to end up getting it for about $50. That is just fine. This is the bulk of the weight. It is a heavy piece itself. And then she added 4 belts to the bundle too. So the first one is this kind of chain link leather belt. I paid, can't remember if I paid $1 or $3 for that. And then a white woven leather belt. I paid $1 for this. This is a gray faux leather belt. I paid about $1 for that. And then this is a, I think, men's brown leather belt. No brand name on this, and I paid $3 for that. So the total sales price was $165. My total cost of goods, including the shipping weight upgrade, which was $13.50. So total cost of goods was $37.50. So after Posh fees and my cost of goods, that made my profit $94.50. But as you can see, all of these items, none of them are really super special or spectacular. So she ended up getting the belts for probably between $10 and $20 a piece. I think about $15 a piece. The sweater would have been about $30. So still not terrible prices, really. And I am happy to get rid of all of this. I really hope that there's no problems because, with bundles, if they don't like one item, they used to make them return everything. Now I think you're able to offer partial credits. I don't want to do that though, because I've already paid to upgrade it and she already got a really good deal. So just everybody keep your fingers crossed that that goes through. I also had one more really good sale for over $200, but it's Saturday and my post office closes at 2, and I don't think I'm going to get there before 2, and I like to have those higher dollar items scanned in. So I'm just going to save that till Monday and I'll share it on Monday. Okay, so my total sales for the week were $1,513. I think that's really great. That was almost all Poshmark. I think I only had 2 sales on Chairish. My total cost of goods was $176.50. And my total profit after fees, cost of goods, and any shipping discounts was $1,020.59. So I exceeded my $1,000 weekly profit goal. I have just been so thrilled with how my sales have gone this year. Every month so far this year, I have exceeded my sales over last year except for February. And I think I was just like $200 or $300 less in February than I was last year. But every other month I have exceeded the sales from last year, which is really great. I want to see growth. Thank you so very much for watching. If you guys enjoy my videos and you haven't subscribed already, I would love it if you would subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. If you have time to go and click one of my other videos and watch it for a few minutes, all of those things really help me out, and they tell YouTube that people are enjoying my videos, which helps my channel grow and helps me get compensated for the time and effort that I put into these videos. Okay, thanks again. I appreciate you guys all so very, very much. I wouldn't be where I am without you, and you're just the best. Okay, see you guys all next week.